Welcome, Easter Sunday. And two things stand out for me this particular Easter. On Good Friday, we had this as part of our readings. This is from Matthew 27. And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. So suddenly the Holy of Holies, which only one person, the high priest, could go into once a year, the special place of God's presence, this is torn open. We have access to God. And then the earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those who were with him, guarding Jesus, saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God." So there's this earthquake and the tombs breaking open, and then on Easter Sunday, people are seeing dead saints. And then in Matthew 28, after the Sabbath, at dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. So, Easter Sunday, there's an earthquake as a tomb is opened, and the angel comes to announce the resurrection of Jesus to the first women, who incidentally are the first preachers or proclaimers of Easter. Eastern Orthodox art has some very powerful things to share with us. On Good Friday, Jesus was crucified outside the city at Golgotha, the place of the skull. And in Eastern Orthodox art, there's a skull shown underneath the cross, and that's the skull of Adam, the first man. Jesus is the new Adam. Through the first man, we came to life, but there's sin, we will die, we go back to the earth. Through the second Adam, we receive eternal life. And the Orthodox have some very powerful pictures. We talk about this in the Creed. He descended into hell. And that doesn't mean, Satan grabbed him and dragged him down. It's actually going down to hell to announce that he has won the victory over death and sin. And so in this icon, there's Jesus reaching down, the risen Jesus reaching down to Adam to rescue Adam and Eve from death. So it's a powerful setting free. And in this icon, there's these horrible medieval torture tools. A little reminder that death is not something benign, but can be something horrible and vicious. And Hebrews chapter 2 tells us that as well. Since the children have flesh and blood, he too shared in their humanity, so that by his death he might break the power of him who holds the power of death, that is, devil, and free those who all their lives were held in slavery by their fear of death. The fear of death. Think of all the things that rob our lives of joy and power. The fear of being ashamed or embarrassed, the fear of guilt, the fear of not being good enough, all those fears and worries that drag us down. And Jesus says, I am stronger than that. I'm stronger even than death. I'm coming to set you free. Learn to live now in a new way. Going back to the earthquakes, it was earth that had to carry the cost for human sin. Earth was cursed way back in Genesis chapter 3. Humans messed up, but earth somehow carried that price. And so did Jesus, coming to be one of us. And that's the whole momentous thing of going to Jerusalem and going to the cross. He carried our sin and took that and removed the power of guilt and judgment from us by dying on the cross in our place. So he removes our guilt, and in that way earth is set free from carrying the curse and all the problems of humanity. And so there's this earthquake, things are changing, moving deep down. There's a setting free. And I love in the Gospel of Matthew how the risen Jesus is still marked with the signs of his crucifixion. He's called the one who was crucified. And that's important for us too. We all have our own scars or wounds that we carry, where healing has happened or is underway or will happen. And I love how in the Matthew he's still called Jesus by the angels. So he's still the one we've always known and loved. And now he's Lord over everything. So there's Jesus, a real person and a real connection to us. And finally, tell them to meet me in Galilee. That's what Jesus says to the women. So where do we find Jesus? It's not in the temple or Jerusalem, although church and holy places are important, and sometimes they're very important. But we have to go back to where it all started. That's what the disciples had to do, and that's often the pattern for our lives too. We have to go back again and work through stuff. But we're working through difficult things or painful things or past history, but we're working through them with the risen Jesus next to us, holding us, guiding us. And the ordinary, that's Galilee. So we go back to our ordinary lives, but with the power of the risen Jesus in us. So back to the messy, back to things that aren't always the way we want. But Jesus goes with us, and there is new life. And may this new life continue to work powerfully and well in each one of us. Have a blessed Easter.